Mina, how long have I known you? When you did
Oh,
shows
my goodness.
here?
Yeah, long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
And Vince is, I mean, he's so funny. He's saying, how many coolers do you have in your truck of fresh
Shh, don't tell you.
sprouts?
My
Okay.
wife's listening. She's not going to be happy about that.
He's always working hard. You live here in Wailuku Town.
Yes, Wailuku Town moved here from Philadelphia in 1978.
Oh, longer than me. I've been here 30 years. Yeah, you beat me by 10. and
Tomorrow actually is my
your anniversary. You remember it?
Yeah.
Mine was a month ago. Yeah,
right on.
Yeah, 30 years.
Yeah.
And you've been working with the soil ever since then, and you are doing an amazing event. In fact, I'm going to go Facebook Live because this is such a powerful event you're doing that we're going to talk about. It's been in the works for a while.
Yes.
And it's a big event. You've done it in the past, but never this big before, right?
Yeah, this is our annual convention, our 9th annual convention, the Hawaii Farmers Union. And it's basically a convention that's going to be exploring this whole relationship that we have with the soil. Especially, it's great sitting here today with Tony, and she's working with the Ocean Center. And, this is part and parcel to the fact that we have 4 places on our planet that store carbon, and that is in the sky or in the ocean or in the soil or in plant life. And unfortunately, we're storing it at breakneck speed in the sky and in the ocean.
Yeah.
So acidifying our oceans, acidifying the sky, creating not only climate change, now it's called climate emergency.
Thank you. I had not heard that term before, but it's appropriate.
Yeah, and so we have the beautiful thing about it, though, is that if we start to use soil health practices, only 2% organic matter. If we raise our agricultural soils up 2% organic matter, we can mitigate climate change just by storing that carbon. It's amazing carbon sink the soil is. So that's all it would take. And you don't hear about it, Al Gore, he didn't talk about it at all.
No, I have not heard about it, no.
And so back in the day when the buffalo roamed in our prairies, they were basically creating these deep, rich, humic soils from their eating the proteinaceous tops off of the perennial plants, perennial grasses, and then they would tromp down all the lignin, and they do and shishi and move on, and all that organic material was sending the roots down deeper and deeper into the soil because it was creating these humic substances in the soil. And so the humic substances basically help recharge our aquifers because they hold water, it's like condominiums for the microbes, these substances.
I love that term, condominiums. Well, I do want to get out that November 8th through the 10th, and that's next week, folks.
Yeah, it's next week.
It's next week. You're doing this amazing event.
Well, it's on the community farmlands for Mahi Pono. Mahi Pono stepped up big time. Shan Satsui, amazing guy. Really appreciate who he is and the support he's showing us.
There's a brand new
farmers.
CEO I just noticed as well, just hired. Yeah.
Well, they're wanting to support local agriculture, so they made this land available, and this land is going to be 250 acres of the first plot of community farmlands. And the owner came in and said to us farmers, "Where do you want the land?"
Wow.
Okay, you pick out wherever you want on this isthmus, you pick it out. So there's 3 places we picked out. And this is the first area, 250 acres. It's going to be in 2, 5, and 10 acre plots. But that's where we're having our convention. And the beautiful thing about it is they're putting 8-foot deer fencing around it.
Wow.
To keep the animals out. They're putting windbreaks. They're stubbing out with 2-inch a 2-inch valve at each plot. And then they're saying, hey, guys, you got to take care of the irrigation, but we'll sell it to you at our cost. And if you need equipment work, we'll do that at our cost. And guess how much it's going to cost? $150 an acre per year.
That's amazing.
Isn't that wonderful?
That's amazing.
The sugarcane company never did anything like that for the community. So, we're really fortunate that these guys are in here.
Very. I have to say I'm impressed. And I went to this event you put on that was going to be a prelude to the amazing Willie Nelson Farm Aid that Micah is really behind with you.
Right.
And I was very impressed. And again, you tied in the food. You always do farm-to-table food and all that.
Yes.
But what you're doing now is you're going to be planning for another huge event this next year.
Right.
And there's a lot of amazing things in the work. But what I went early to hear people talk. and you had representatives from each island.
Mm-hmm.
You had representatives from Oahu and Kauai and the Big Island, and some of them are doing amazing things. Each are
Yeah.
they're allowed the freedom as part of your organization. The Hawaii, it stands for HIFFU. Is it
No, HFUU, yeah.
HFU?
Yeah, Hawaii Farmers Union United. We're an affiliate. We're actually a chartered chapter of the National Farmers Union. National Farmers Union was founded in 1902.
Really?
Yeah, to bring parity to the local farmers for their produce.
And boy, is it alive and well, and you're paving the way
Yeah.
for things that the rest of the country are now trying to do.
And thank you. But what's beautiful is that we have an amazing group of people statewide, like you were talking about, across the islands. We have 13 chapters, over 1,600 members, and the presidents of these chapters are producers. I wanted to make sure that farmers, because nobody can tell you what agriculture needs unless it's somebody that's making a living at agriculture, and so our state budget is 0.4%. Now, thankfully, Governor Ige made there was a position open on the Board of Agriculture, and he appointed me to that position. So that was cool.
Yeah.
It's just that we're trying to bring up the level of support from the legislature for agriculture. And because I envision us having a cover crop seed industry to where we can start to heal our lands, get our lands back to the vitality that you can grow food that we know the nature of being here in Hawaii. You can grow amazing food.
Well, as part of this, and of course I love following you on Facebook, and people can find out about the convention because you're posting furiously every day.
Yeah, right.
You have more and more about what's going on, and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
It's like it's an education prelude going up to this event.
Thank you.
But the event is going to be wonderful, and Micah's going to play.
Yes.
And people can actually get tickets if they go to your site, can't
Yes,
they?
hfuu.org.
And I do want to say that when I saw what you're doing, I was so impressed. And I went on Facebook and I saw you went to Washington. That was, 3 weeks ago when you were?
Oh, no, actually, yeah, in September. National Farmers Union has a fly-in every year, and the delegates and presidents go in there and meet with congressional leaders. So I got to go there. Each year I go there with the other national presidents. We sit and we have our board meeting 4 times a year, and in September is this fly-in, so we get to go to D.C. and then meet with all our Hawaii delegates and representatives there.
And you got a chance to do some one-on-ones with some very heavy-duty people.
Oh yeah, I got to sit with Jesse Jackson and of course Tulsi Gabbard. She set up that meeting, and Senator Hirono and Senator Schatz and Ed Case, Representative Case. So it was really a wonderful opportunity to get to be with those folks, talk story about what we're doing, what we'd like to see occur out here in agriculture, and Hawaii is paradise on earth in people's minds. You go to anywhere on this planet and you say Hawaii, they go, oh, paradise on earth. And literally, though, people come here and they think they're eating locally produced food, and 90% of it's brought in, so that's just ridiculous.
Well, and in people's minds, they're probably not aware of the fact of how much of a struggle it is for small farmers.
Yeah.
And you represent a lot of these small farmers.
People say farming is so hard. And I go, you know what? Farming, life is hard. Life is difficult. Farming is essential. And until we get this essential nature, what agriculture represents, and the need for our local farmers to be able to produce food for the people, then until the government really gets it. So the Office of Economic Development, through the mayor's office and our county council, did this year. They really stepped up and gave us more funding this year for our farmer apprentice mentoring program. We have funding from Kamehameha Schools for a project in Lahaina, bringing back the breadfruit forest over there in Ku'ia. And we also have funding through the county for our chapter development and for our convention here this year. So it really is a wonderful thing that Maui County is getting behind.
Well, they're seeing what you're doing, and you are an example. You have a small place in Wailuku. You've been there for years.
Yeah.
And how large is the space that you have to grow?
Yeah, I always wanted to farm. I didn't have land or equipment. And when my wife was pregnant with our little girl, she was craving sunflower greens, the same greens I brought you today.
They're good, yeah.
And so I left my work. I was a decorative painter by trade, and I stepped aside because I knew I needed to let go of the trapeze I was on in order to get to the trapeze I wanted to get to. And so a lot of people don't normally let go of the trapeze they're on because of the fear of unknown. But have you ever met a trapezist that wasn't committed to getting the other trapeze? Right? So I consider myself a trapezist, and so I left my trade and I was going to go work for an organic farmer friend of mine when my wife came home with all these bags of sunflower greens, and I go, "What do you keep buying them for? I could grow them." She goes, "Well, why aren't you growing them?" And that's what started our business. So it was actually my little girl in the womb going, "Dad, no worries. I'll show you the way through, Mom." And 25 years later, we're on a postage stamp, basically. 2,500 square feet is our farm on a 9,000 square foot lot. And when our son was alive, we were producing like 500 to 600 pounds of greens a week.
Wow.
On that postage stamp. So we've gotten the farm back going again, but not at the level as it was before.
And I have to bring in here, since you brought it up, a lot of people followed the story of Kekai, your son. Beautiful, beautiful boy, beautiful man. And he had some challenges. He had some physical challenges. He had some crises in his life, and he decided to, one day he told you he needed to clear his mind and go for a walk, and he talked to you. Yep. And he went up to Iao, and he did the ridge up there. And people looked for him for, was it 2 weeks?
9 days,
9 days, yeah.
And, it's interesting, people say that he commits suicide, and I know our son, and he didn't. When I had talked to him, he was clear of mind, and he said, Dad, I'm just seeking a safe haven. And where he walked was an amazing place. I mean, the courage.
Have you been up there?
Oh, my wife and I did a helicopter of the place.
You took a picture of the light shining down on it, and the other day you had a picture of a rainbow over Iao with you sitting there, a double rainbow, I think it was.
Yeah.
And there was, the whole community felt for you. And
the community was huge. The community came forward in such a big way for us.
And you did the most powerful farewell ceremony at the Tropical Plantation.
Yeah, Tropical Plantation was everybody was so supportive. They just said, no worry, you bring, you have it here, we'll take care of everything. I mean, Francesco guys over there are just amazing. And the community just showed up big time. And we've been doing a lot of community work over the years, and it just mirrored all the work that we've been doing, and we love this community, and it was a tragic situation. We miss them, every day I go through it,
We've seen the pictures on Facebook, and yet it didn't stop you. You threw yourself into your work. You did that amazing event that was a fundraiser just a few weeks after that, and then you went to Washington, and now you're going full force into this huge convention. How many people do you expect are coming?
About 300 people, I think we'll have, total 800-900 people over the weekend.
And a lot of speakers coming in.
I have 30 presenters, 5 educational tents. We have a hemp-specific tent this convention. It's going to be 3 days of hemp.
Wow.
Hemp presentations.
Are you going to grow any hemp?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, absolutely. CBDs are amazing, powerful medicine. Amazing. And that's just going to get more and more to the forefront. And then we have 2 ag discussion tents, and we have a keynote. We have an 8x15 LED screen for keynote PowerPoint presentations. But the ag discussion tents that are separate from that is for interaction. As opposed to a talking head. I want the presenter to draw out of the crowd more of a discussion type mode. And then I have a chef tent, and I have a lot of our wonderful chefs here on Maui that are coming to offer their jewels of the trade. And then we have a healing arts tent where people are going to be doing massage and reiki for folks. They just want to give to the farmers, they just want to be there and offer their services. And Irene, my wife Irene, she does amazing with the food. She's just off the hook, And Mauna Hawaii chapter, they're providing the food, and it's a wonderful thing.
And you can go for just
1 day or the whole thing. It's we have different prices. We have prices without the food. People inexpensive just to want to come and bring their own food, kind of thing.
So basically, it seems like in Washington, it must have been an amazing learning experience for you. And people probably really needed to hear what it was like, because to be an ambassador of the land, and to really let them know what it's like trying to promote these important things you're trying to promote. Did they get it at all? It's so different than when they're dealing with the farms that have thousands of acres in the heartland. Very different than what you're doing in your backyard. And
what's interesting about my backyard, farm is that we have a compost pile that is 25 years old, and we've done in a microcosm what we need to do around the whole island, in a sense. Growing our soil, it's this deep humic rich. When I cut it in order to screen it for our greens, it looks like I'm cutting chocolate cake.
Really, it's that thick?
Yeah, it's this beautiful humic rich substance, and having a sense of humus is really important.
I got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And you're not going to be dipping into that humus.
That's right. Well, it's interesting. I did a fast one time, and I had read an article about how humus is good for mental health. And I went out, because I had a headache from doing the fast. I was eliminating stuff. And I went out and I literally brought the compost up to my face and started breathing into it, and the headache went away.
Seriously.
I'm serious. So what think about that. The microbiome, we're just starting to explore the microbiome. And the microbiome in that compost has a plethora of microorganisms, beneficial microorganisms, that are there to support our well-being.
Now, how did you connect with Micah? Because he's really been behind this, and I've seen some pictures of him
Micah
working.
Nelson.
Yeah, and
he's
he's going to play. He's amazing.
Yeah,
the particle kid.
He's a sage. At 29 years old, he's a sage, and he's just he came to my farm. I met him at a baby shower that he came to, right? And it was interesting, and both mutual friends. And I talked to him about coming to check out the farm, and he did. And so we just stood around the compost pile. He climbed on top of it and goofing off and stuff. And I said to him, I really would like to see a farm aid here in Hawaii. I've always had this vision that we need to marry music to agriculture and here in Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
And he said, hey, let's do it. So he said, let's, since it's so close, let's do a private event first.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can, money from that, we can use the seed money for a public event. And that's what occurred.
And it was amazing. I mean, Lucas Nelson, of course, just off his big fame. You could see him on stage.
Really?
And Star is Born. It was so beautiful to see him up there acting as well as playing, and then writing with Lady Gaga, and then and he's been playing with Neil Young, of course, and
Absolutely.
And it's interesting dynamics between the brothers, Micah and Lucas, because Micah's doing his own thing, very different than Lucas,
That's right?
And then there's Willie just kind of watching them with wow.
Willie must be blown away. Well, you know what I said to Willie backstage, I said, I really appreciate the fact that your son is stepping up to take on this torch of Farm Aid, because that's basically what's happening here. Micah's he's taken on the torch, and his dad's really proud of that.
He did, before the show, a piece of artwork within like 20 minutes.
Wasn't that amazing?
I was right there, like 2 seats back, and I couldn't believe what he created.
Stage
before,
left, he was right there.
Just doing that piece of amazing art, right? Watching it unfold.
It was very cool.
And when is he playing this coming week at your event?
Well, we have a dinner event for our sponsors and for our leadership and our presenters. The Thursday at Tropical Plantation. As a matter of fact, you've been invited, I believe. Yes.
Marty told me I haven't got my invitation yet, but I'll take this as an invitation.
There, you got it. And he's going to play that night, and then over the weekend he has a friend, and we're going to be doing drumming right before lunch, so we can get people. After you're sitting and listening to presentations for a few hours. Actually, the first presentation out of the gate Friday morning is Sam Ka'ai.
Oh, Sam's amazing.
And so what I did was I made sure there's no other presentations going on in the other tents. Sam's got the conference, and he is amazing.
He is,
so I'm really fortunate that he's agreed to come in, and what a way to open up a convention.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then a few presentations, and then lunch. But we're gonna have drumming with Micah Nelson, during lunch, and then we see Fantastic Fungi at the end of the day. A great movie. Yeah. And then the next night we have music into the night with. Do you know Madame Butterfly? Saul.
Yeah.
And so Saul and his band, Madame Butterfly, and then Pikello's son, Aaron Booth.
Oh.
Yeah, going to be playing music Saturday night.
Got a multi-generational thing going on.
Paul Isaac coming from Oahu. Yeah, so we expect it to be quite a party, that night.
Down to earth, kind of, in a way. Kind of
Absolutely.
Getting
the beautiful thing about these conventions is that you have farmers, gardeners, and foodies all coming together from across the islands who just are so passionate around locally produced food.
Really.
And being in relationship with the land that grows it. See, that's the key, That's the passion comes out of their love of what that represents.
And education, because I know I listened to one, I think it was the Big Island has a part of their group is actually taking it to the schools.
Oh, absolutely.
and-
Farm to
and-
school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our president of the Kohala chapter, Dash Kerr, he's got a hip agriculture on the Big Island, him and his wife, and they do apprentices on the Big Island, and they're doing a lot around bringing farm to school forward. So he's our legislative chair. And this year at the legislature, we have bills on farm apprentice mentoring program and also food hubs that we're looking to get appropriations for.
Now, gosh, I can't believe we've been talking for about 20 minutes, but I do want to get to. You went to this amazing, getting back to your roots of Sicily, this trip.
Oh, yeah. Well, after Kid Kai passed, I felt I needed to get my family out of Dodge and circle the wagons. And so I went to where my family is from, in Castelbuono, Sicily. Yeah. And it's my grandfather, my grandmother were raised in Castelbuono, and his brother was still there. He's passed, of course, but his family is still there. And so I got to meet them and spend 12 days with them. It was just amazing. And
Where is that?
Castelbuono is a couple hours out of Palermo, Malca, and it's right above Cefalù. And Cefalù is just like McKenna water. It's just beautiful
Oh, is it?
place. Oh, yeah.
But it's in the hills.
Yeah, well, Cefalù's out by the ocean, but
Oh, it
then
is.
Castelbuono, 14th century castle town.
Oh, how wonderful.
Oh, yeah. It's a half-hour drive out from Cefalù from the coast, and it was just so wonderful, beautiful. I want to go back.
Did you stay there with the family?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, they just loved us, and we loved them, and it was just...
Did you get a chance to see some of the farms and check out what they're doing there?
Absolutely. A lot of olives, and
Yeah,
a
a
lot
lot
of
of olives.
grapes.
A lot of olive oil.
Yeah, and they're
And a lot of wine,
and
right?
Yeah, and a lot of wine. They're very passionate about their agriculture there, and we, the life in Sicily is that, in the afternoon you siesta, you sleep, and then
Right.
you eat dinner at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was just a great lifestyle. Yeah.
That was a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Oh no, I'm going back. I'm
You was-
I'm taking my family back this year.
Are
We're
you?
planning on it. That's the intention. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
It was really beautiful.
Well, now they have these programs, if you have Italian blood, you can get a passport.
Oh, there
You
you
didn't know
go.
about that?
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
they're encouraging people to move there. So a lot of people, if you
okay.
have, there's actually a place you can go to in Italy where if you prove you have Italian family, Italian blood,
Right.
and they'll give you an Italian passport.
Oh, there you go.
And then you still can carry your American
Right.
passport, but you can have both.
So you can stay there for longer than 3 months?
Yes, you can. In fact, some people are living there part-time. You might have known Renato, actually. He
Yes.
just moved back there.
Well, the
but-
interesting thing about that is your grandfather, like when my grandfather moved to America, he when my father was born, he was already an American citizen. My grandmother wasn't, though. So the fact that my grandmother wasn't a citizen yet.
Oh, no, still, you can go back.
You get it.
You'd still get it.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, you're going to be a blessing wherever you go. And,
Oh, you're so
and
sweet.
You're
Thank
doing
you.
such great work, Vince. I know how
Thank
busy
you.
you are.
Thank you.
And I hope your
Yeah.
wife doesn't mind that you came in
No,
and
absolutely.
talked story with
No,
us. And
I thank
you for
you.
the sprouts. And
You're
and
welcome.
again, people can get on board on this still. It's happening.
Yeah, hfuu.org. And any questions, you can, there's a website, there's an email address there. They can email and answer their questions. There's a phone number, So it's the main thing is that people who value local agriculture can come and know that there'll be something there for them. They don't have
And
to
they'll be
a
able to
farmer.
network and meet people
Oh,
and
it's
be
just-
inspired by
oh,
people
yeah.
who are doing amazing work.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have gardens,
Yeah.
that they want to learn more about.
And I love that you brought healing into this and food into it and the music
Yeah,
into it.
thank
and
you. Well,
it's a
body and
true-
soil, baby.
And it all relates to Maui. It
Yes,
does, yeah.
truly.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Well, nice being here with you ladies.
It was great seeing
Thank you, Tony. Nice to meet you
Nice to
again.
see you, Mr.
Yes.
Vince. We'll
All
be in
right.
touch. Don't you worry.
Sounds good.
Yes.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha.